Welcome back, Simone Biles.
Wins the Kentucky Derby.
You got it. Wins the Indianapolis 500.
Scheffler back on top of the world.
A lot of stars for you on Sunday Night Football.
I, George Herbert Walker Bush, do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the office of President of the United States.
The body of the emperor left the moated imperial palace in downtown Tokyo for the last time.
The images of winter yield to the rites of spring.
Baseball 89, a change of season.
Welcome to Spring Training 1989. Now, you remember spring training from the old days, veterans losing an inch or two around the middle and rookies introduced to big league curveballs. But this year is different. Headlines of gambling charges and sex scandals have dominated the news,
including widespread reports that broke in Sports Illustrated about Pete Rose's possible association with known gamblers, as well as allegations that Rose has wagered heavily, and perhaps even on baseball. But Pete handled the attention with his usual aplomb.
Hey, I have no problem with meeting people. I like meeting people. I enjoyed you when you were on my hitting streak. I enjoyed you. This is great because this gives my players the same kind of atmosphere they're going to enjoy in October this year.
But the investigation continues and will take several more weeks to complete, according to a statement issued by a Washington attorney serving as special counsel to the commissioner. If found guilty betting on baseball, Rose could face a one-year suspension. But if it is discovered that baseball's all-time hit leader bet on games involving his own club, he faces the grim prospect of a lifetime suspension from the game.
It hardly seems possible that it's been 20 years since the Mets miracle of 1969. And Tom Seaver, one of the stars of that ball club, is joining our NBC announcing team for the 89 season. He'll be in the booth with Vin Scully. Now, covering our other Saturday game of the week will be Bob Costas and Tony Kubek, and Gail Gardner will be doing baseball features. Right now, let's get their views on the 1989 baseball season.
Thank you, Marv. Well, Tom, it's about that time. The season lays in front of us. Let's start with the National League East. The Mets, obviously the cream of the crop, but will they be challenged or not?
Well, definitely the cream of the crop. When you look at their starting pitching, headed by Gooden and Darling and Cone and these guys, they're going to be very difficult to beat. I think the only way that they can be beat, one is if they do beat themselves or injuries. 162 games, injuries certainly do play a factor. If they can be challenged, I got to look for the Pittsburgh Pirates, a young ball club coming along. How much will they progress? The Montreal Expos, if they get pitching, they've got a chance. St. Louis Cardinals losing Danny Cox is definitely going to hurt them. And the Phillies, of course, in the rebuilding stage, and I just don't think the Chicago Cubs have enough.
For the New York Mets, we have to remember Gary Carter has been playing in the big league since 1975. He has a bad knee. 85% of the base runners were successful against him. The Mets are hoping that all of their kids on the infield, that means Miller and Jeffries and Elster, will all have big years, so they're not quite the lock that you might think.
That's right.
And now the West. First of all, the Dodgers of the world world champions, a very fortunate ball club last year. What about it?
Well, a very fortunate ball club, and also very fortunate to get a guy like Eddie Murray. In the middle of this lineup between Marshall and Kirk Gibson, he's going to mean a tremendous amount to this ball club. You can't look too far from down the road right in San Diego. That ball club is going to be an outstanding team, I believe. The acquisition of Bruce Hurst is definitely going to help that ball club.
I should say. And, of course, the Giants, who won the division 2 years ago, could very well come back with a strong showing. And for the Dodgers, they not only are a little better offensively, but it could very well be now they have a pretty good second baseman in Willie Randolph. And the question with him, will his legs hold up on all of the AstroTurf in the National League? Well, that's a thumbnail sketch of the National. Let's take a look at the American League West, and we'll go to Bob Costas.
Thanks, Ben. When you talk about the American League West, the story probably begins and ends with the Oakland A's. Despite their World Series disappointment, this is, after all, a team that won 104 regular season games, then swept a good Red Sox team 4 straight in the playoffs. Nobody injured, everybody back, and Mike Moore added from Seattle to further bolster the pitching staff. If there's one weakness and you really have to search, Kurt Young is their only left-handed starter, but even he has been in double figures in victories the past few years. You have to make the A's a solid favorite in the American League West. 2 clubs could make it difficult for them. Kansas City has a potentially strong pitching staff with Mark Gubicza, who won 20 last year, former Cy Young Award winner Brett Saberhagen, and from the left side, Floyd Bannister and Charlie Leibrandt. They need help in the bullpen, where they haven't been strong since the heyday of Dan Quisenberry, but George Brett's coming off his best year in the last several. Frank White still steady at second base. This could be a bust-out year for Bo Jackson, and they have fine youngsters like Kevin Seitzer and Danny Tartabull. The Minnesota Twins are only 2 years removed from a world championship, and in Kirby Puckett they have one of the planet's best and most exciting players. But they need a return to health and intensity by third baseman Gary Gaetti, and behind Frank Viola and young left-hander Alan Anderson, I don't think they have quite enough in the starting rotation to get them through to bullpen ace Jeff Reardon on a consistent basis. The Twins will be in there, but I believe they will fall short. The other clubs, Texas, Kansas City, Seattle, the Angels, have all made changes, either in personnel or in the manager's office, but they're a ways away from contending in the American League West. I look for Oakland to head back into postseason play, trying to avenge last October's disappointment against the Dodgers. Now let's go to my broadcast partner, Tony Kubek.
All right, thank you, Bob. Well, with Dallas Green's team not expected to win in the East, with injuries and loss of some very talented players, it looks like his job is safe for the rest of the year. If you're looking for a team to pick in the Eastern Division, Toronto looks awfully good. They finished very strongly last year, and they could be stronger this year with a little bit of experience. Detroit, Sparky's team, a very good ball club with a lot of quality veterans. Boston, they've sure got a chance with their great offense. However, losing Bruce Hurst hurts this team very badly. So it looks like the Toronto Blue Jays, to me, at this stage early in the season. Gail?
Tony, we've just been through a pro football season in which parity was a key word, and we could very well have that same situation in baseball. Free agency, an abundance of young stars, the natural cycle of the sport have resulted in a redistribution of the assets. Sure, there are the have-nots and the haves, like the Mets and the A's, but there are other teams ready to contend right now. Teams we haven't heard from in a while, like the Brewers and the Padres, the Reds and the Rangers. And we could very well have one of the more competitive seasons we've had in a long time. Marv?
Thanks, Gail. The 1988 Dodgers were a prime example of parity in the big leagues. Last spring, no one gave them much of a chance. But when it was over, they were the world champions.
It's a moment that I certainly will never forget, or nobody will ever forget, and I thank the Big Dodger in the Sky for choosing me to be the guy to be able to celebrate that moment for the rest of my life.
Well, I think Kirk Gibson's home run inspired us above and beyond our own capabilities even.
For us to beat those two teams, I'd have to say that that was maybe one of the greatest upsets in baseball history.
Well, it was indeed a storybook season for Los Angeles in 1988. And this time around, the Dodgers have added a few new names to their lineup. But the faces are familiar to baseball fans everywhere. Free agent acquisition, former Yankees second baseman Willie Randolph finds himself a new home in the National League.
I'm looking forward to the National League because I think as a youngster I was a Met fan, and I grew up watching the National League and being more of a National League fan. So it's going to be nice, you know, to go to different ballparks, experience that, play in Shea Stadium. It's going to be a nice challenge for me. I'm looking forward to it.
Along with Randolph, the Dodgers traded for former Baltimore Oriole first baseman Eddie Murray, a man who's glad to be back in his hometown.
Coming home is great. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better situation than, you know, being relieved from what I was doing there in Baltimore, being there. And to come to L.A., I mean, actually it is home, and I feel good about it. You know, like I said, not many people, I don't think, get to play at home. And I got the opportunity right now, and I'm just looking forward to it.
Both Eddie Murray and Willie Randolph are most welcome additions to the right side of the Dodger infield.
We're delighted to have both of them on this club. They're not only two outstanding players, but they're two tremendous young men.
Perhaps the man who loomed as large as Paul Bunyan in the Dodger fairy tale season of '88 was Orel Hershiser, who still has his consecutive scoreless inning streak intact.
I might pitch and throw some shutout innings and extend the streak, but I'm not going to be thinking, oh no, I can't give up this run because I'm going to lose the streak. I'm just out there trying to pitch and win the game for the Dodgers.
If the Dodgers intend on approaching their great success of a year ago, Hershiser will have to have another stand-up season. Otherwise, they'll be sitting at home in October.
There's only one team that has the chance of repeating this year. That's the Dodgers, and we know it's a challenge, but we're competitive. And we're going to be up to that challenge, and if somebody beats us out, they will earn that, and it's not going to come easy.
It's been 5 years since the Padres made it to their only World Series, but in many ways it seems like a lifetime ago. Garvey, Gossage, Nettles, the acquisition of big-name stars got them a pennant in '84, and the hope is that a trip along the same path will have the same results here in '89. Trader Jack has been very busy this offseason, and the Padres appear perched to contend once again.
The reincarnation of the Padres began, as these things often do, out of adversity. A talented team with no confidence, faltering under disciplinarian Larry Boa. General manager Jack McKeon grabbed the field managing reins in mid-'88, and the club has been going at a pretty good gallop ever since.
Jack's come in and just basically been the same guy that he's been the whole time he's been here. As a guy who always gives you words of encouragement, always pats you on the back, is always positive. He hardly ever dwells on the negative. And the players responded to that.
I wanted them to have fun and really enjoy coming to the ballpark. And, you know, the whole thing caught on, and we started to have fun, and we started to win, and everything fell into place.
When Jack came in, it was just, I think everyone just got a big, you know, all the tension and all the pressure was just off everyone's back, and we could just relax and play ball. And it's a lot of fun with him.
Kruk will have a lot more fun if he can return to his form of '87 after a miserable '88. He should be helped by the acquisition of Jack Clark, whose presence will up the overall hitting intensity a notch or two. Jack has ripped a few in his time, for the Giants, for the Cardinals, for the Yankees. McKeon says Clark has had an immediate impact on the Padres clubhouse, both the young players and the veterans seeking out his counsel.
You work hard to get to a certain level to learn things, and you get the results on the field, and people want to know how you're able to do that. And so you're able to give them some of that knowledge you learned, so maybe they don't have some of those same frustrations. And it's fun, you know, it's kind of neat having younger players come up to you, and older ones that have been around wanting to know what makes certain things tick.
McKeon's off-season machinations also added to an already impressive pitching staff, getting free agents Walt Terrell and Bruce Hurst. Hurst signing jolting an already beleaguered Red Sox team. A solid family man, Hurst denies Boston's off-the-field tribulations played a part in his reason for leaving.
I'd played with Wade for a long time, and I knew what, you know, everything had come out last summer, and it really didn't enter in. I wasn't going to make my decision based on other, you know, things that were out of my control. I was going to do it based on what I felt was best for myself and my family, and had nothing to do with all the other stuff that was going on.
Whatever his reasons, the Padres are glad he headed west. And though McKeon feels they may still be missing a piece or two, if nothing else, he finally has a team that enjoys coming to the ballpark. Coming up, a musical tour of '88 for all of us to contemplate.